Before you toss that penny aside, check the date. Some 1972, 1990, and 1996 1-cent coins are highly collectible, with rare errors and varieties that can turn pocket change into treasure. Imagine holding a simple penny in your hand, a 1972 US 1-cent coin that seems no different from the countless others you've seen throughout your life. Its copper surface may look a little worn, its edges a little rough from circulation, and you might think nothing of it. After all, what is a penny worth in today's world? Most people pass them off as useless, let them pile up in jars, or drop them on the ground without a second thought. But here's the twist. Some of those 1972 1-cent pennies aren't just worth 1 cent. They aren't worth 10 cents. They aren't even worth $100 or $1,000. The right 1972 era penny can be worth between $58,000 and $134,000. Yes, a single coin, designed to be the most humble form of American currency, could secretly hold a small fortune, and most people would never notice unless they looked very closely. The story of the 1972 1-cent era coin is one of the most fascinating in numismatics. To understand why, you first have to imagine what was happening in the early 1970s. The United States Mint was producing billions of coins to meet the demands of an expanding economy. Inflation was on the rise, Vietnam was still a pressing issue, and Americans used cash for almost everything. In this world of constant circulation, pennies were struck in staggering numbers, making them one of the most common coins in the nation. Among these billions, however, mistakes were made, mistakes that would later make certain 1972 pennies some of the most valuable coins in existence. The most famous of these mistakes is the 1972 double-die penny. If you're new to collecting, you might not be familiar with that term, but it's simple to understand. Coins are struck with dies, steel tools that press the design into blank metal discs called planchets. If the die is misaligned or if there's a mechanical error during its preparation, the design can appear doubled. When that die is used to strike coins, every coin it touches will bear that same doubling. That's what happened in 1972. The obverse die, the one with Abraham Lincoln's portrait, had a doubling error, and thousands of coins were struck with it before the mistake was discovered. On these coins, the doubling is most noticeable in the inscriptions. Look at the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date 1972. Instead of being sharp and clean, they appear as though they were struck twice, slightly off from each other. It creates a ghost-like shadow effect that collectors can spot with a trained eye, and once you see it, you'll never forget it. That doubling is what makes the coin extraordinary. Instead of being worth a single cent, it becomes a rarity, and rarity is the driving force of value in numismatics. Now here's where things get exciting. Out of the billions of 1972 pennies minted, only a fraction show this dramatic doubling. And among that fraction, only a handful are found in high-grades coins that were preserved almost perfectly with little to no wear. Those top-condition examples are the ones that can bring jaw-dropping prices at auctions, often selling anywhere between $58,000 and $134,000. Imagine a penny you'd normally toss in a tip jar suddenly being worth more than a luxury car, more than a down payment on a house, or more than some people earn in an entire year. That's the incredible power of the 1972 double-die penny. Collectors are drawn to these coins not just for their monetary value, but also for the thrill of the hunt. Think about it. These coins are still out there. They've been discovered in circulation, in rolls of pennies from banks, and even in old jars passed down through families. Someone might have one sitting unknowingly in a desk drawer or buried in an old shoebox. The possibility that an ordinary person could stumble across one is part of what makes the story so captivating. It's not a treasure locked away in a museum. It's a treasure that could still be hiding in plain sight. Auction houses have seen firsthand how much excitement a 1972-era penny can create. Picture the scene. The coin is placed under the bright lights, its doubling clearly visible under magnification. The auctioneer opens the bidding, and hands shoot up around the room. The price climbs steadily, $20,000, $35,000, $50,000. The room grows tense as bidders compete fiercely, each one determined to claim this piece of American history. Finally, the gavel comes down at $134,000, and the crowd erupts with applause. For the winner, It's not just a purchase. It's a victory, the securing of a rare artifact that only a handful of people on Earth will ever own. But beyond the auction drama, there's also the personal side. Imagine being the person who finds one of these coins unexpectedly. Maybe you're rolling up pennies to take to the bank. Maybe you're sorting through change at the grocery store. You notice something odd about one coin, take a closer look, and realize you're holding one of the rarest pennies in existence. The wave of shock, disbelief, and joy would be indescribable. One moment, you're counting change. The next, you're holding a six-figure treasure. That kind of discovery doesn't just change your wallet, it changes your life story. And that's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. For many, it's a lifelong passion fueled by moments of discovery like this. The 1972 double-die penny embodies everything collectors love: rarity, beauty, history, and mystery. It's a coin that teaches us to look closer at the things we take for granted. How many times have you handled a penny without really seeing it? Without noticing the details, the date, or the inscriptions? This coin reminds us that value often hides in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. There's also an important lesson in scarcity. If there were millions of these double-die pennies, they wouldn't be worth much. It's the fact that only a few exist in top condition that drives their price into the $58,000 to $134,000 range. Scarcity creates desire, and desire fuels competition. That's why collectors will stop at nothing to add one of these coins to their collection. It's not just about owning a piece of copper, it's about owning a piece of history, about having something that so few others can claim. When you look at it that way, the 1972-era penny isn't just money. It's art, it's heritage, it's a symbol of how tiny mistakes can create monumental value. A small error at the mint in 1972 turned ordinary pennies into treasures worth more than their weight in gold hundreds of times over. That's what keeps collectors searching, decade after decade, through pockets of change, through boxes of coins, through rolls and jars, always hoping to uncover the next hidden gem. So the next time you come across a 1972 penny, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light, examine it closely, and ask yourself, is this the one? Could I be holding a penny worth over $100,000? Because someone out there will find one. Someone out there will turn a coin most people ignore into a life-changing discovery. And who knows, that someone could be you. The 1972 1-cent penny error is proof that value doesn't always come from what something was meant to be. Sometimes it comes from the unexpected, the accidents, the imperfections, the anomalies that slip through the cracks. And in those rare moments, when ordinary becomes extraordinary, that's where legends are born. The 1990 US 1-cent penny is one of those coins most people would dismiss as nothing more than a piece of pocket change, tossed into a jar, slipped into a vending machine, or passed along without a thought. But within that year's production, something remarkable happened. A small number of 1990 pennies were struck with unusual minting errors that transformed them from everyday currency into extraordinary treasures. These rare error coins have since become legends among collectors, fetching jaw-dropping prices at auctions, with values soaring between $48,000 and $120,000 depending on the error, condition, and rarity. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a single coin, overlooked by millions, could hold the power to change someone's life in an instant. The world of coins is fascinating because it combines history, artistry, and the possibility of unexpected discoveries. To understand why the 1990 penny error holds such immense value, it's worth stepping back to look at how coins are made. The US Mint operates with incredible precision, producing billions of coins every year with high-speed presses that stamp blank metal discs into perfectly identical pieces of currency. But as with any mechanical process, mistakes sometimes happen. A die might misalign, a planchet might not seat correctly, or a design may be struck twice, creating a doubled image. These errors, though rare, slip through quality control, entering circulation and eventually finding their way into the hands of unsuspecting people. And when those errors are discovered decades later, the coins transform from pocket change into treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. The 1990 penny error is especially captivating because it's a modern coin that many people still remember using in everyday life. Unlike older coins from the 1800s or early 1900s, This penny doesn't feel like some ancient relic. It feels familiar. People remember using 1990 pennies for candy machines, bus fares, or even saving them up in piggy banks as kids. That familiarity makes the idea of one being worth up to $120,000 even more astonishing. It's not just an old artifact locked away in a museum. It's something that might still be sitting in a drawer, a jar, or a box of old change in someone's home right now. Collectors have reported different varieties of errors for the 1990 penny. Some feature double designs, where the details on Lincoln's face, the lettering, or the date appear doubled under close inspection. Others show off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, exposing the blank surface of the coin. There are even stories of dramatic die cracks and missing elements, giving the coins unique appearances that make them instantly recognizable to those who know what to look for. These quirks make each error penny one of a kind, and in a hobby that thrives on uniqueness and rarity, that kind of distinction is priceless. The emotional impact of discovering one of these coins can't be overstated. Imagine someone sifting through a jar of change, perhaps looking for quarters for laundry, and spotting a penny that looks just a little off. Maybe the design seems doubled, or the strike appears crooked. With a bit of research, they discover that what they've been holding is no ordinary penny. It's one of the rare 1990 error coins that could sell for between $48,000 and $120,000 at auction. That kind of revelation is life-changing. It's the moment when something ordinary transforms into something extraordinary, and the excitement of that discovery is what keeps collectors endlessly searching. Auction houses love coins like this because they generate so much buzz. Picture a room filled with passionate collectors, all waiting for the chance to own a 1990 era penny. The bidding starts modestly, but the excitement builds quickly. 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. The numbers rise as bidders push each other higher and higher. The tension is palpable, the room electric. Finally, the gavel comes down, and the coin sells for an astonishing figure, sometimes $50,000, other times as much as $120,000. The crowd applauds, the buyer beams with pride, and the legend of the 1990 era penny grows even stronger. But it's not only about the money, even though the dollar figures are incredible. It's also about the story. Each era penny carries with it a narrative of how it came into existence. A moment when the minting process faltered, when machinery that usually creates flawless coins slipped for just a fraction of a second. That single instant created something unique, something that millions of other pennies don't have. To collectors, that story is worth preserving, and owning such a coin is like holding a little piece of history that stands apart from the rest. There's also a deeper symbolism here. The 1990 era penny is proof that imperfection can hold more value than perfection. Billions of flawless pennies were minted in 1990, and today they're worth just 1 cent. But the few that carry errors, those flawed coins, are worth tens of thousands. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes it's our differences, our quirks, and our unique traits that make us valuable. That perspective gives the 1990 penny error not just financial worth, but also philosophical significance. Making it more than just a coin, it becomes a lesson in seeing value where others might not. For collectors, the hunt is part of the thrill. They search through rolls of coins, study their details under magnification, and share their findings with fellow enthusiasts. The dream of discovering a rare error like the 1990 penny keeps that passion alive. And when people hear about the staggering values, $48,000 to $120,000, it inspires even casual observers to start paying attention. Maybe you'll never become a full-time collector, but stories like this might make you pause before tossing a penny aside. Who knows? That coin you ignore today could be worth more than a luxury car tomorrow. Think of how many 1990 pennies are still floating around today. Millions of them sit in jars, drawers, and boxes across the country. It's very possible that one of those coins hiding in plain sight is an error penny just waiting to be discovered. And that possibility makes every glance at a penny exciting. It turns an ordinary moment into a treasure hunt. That's the magic of coin collecting. The idea that fortune and history might be right in front of you, disguised as something mundane. Now imagine being the person who finally discovers one. You send the coin to be authenticated by professionals, they confirm it's a genuine mint error, and suddenly your life is different. You're invited to auctions, featured in collector circles, and maybe even interviewed for publications about your rare find. That's the kind of impact a 1990-era penny can have. It's not just a coin. It's a ticket into a world of history, prestige, and excitement. At the end of the day, the 1990 penny error stands as one of the great modern rarities in U.S. coinage. It combines the accessibility of a coin everyone has handled with the rarity of a mistake that almost no one noticed at the time. And with prices reaching between $48,000 and $120,000, it continues to captivate, inspire, and excite collectors and dreamers alike. The lesson it teaches is simple but powerful. Always pay attention, even to the smallest things, because sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest value. Think for a moment about the pennies that pass through your hands every single day. You might see them lying at the bottom of your purse, stuffed inside a car's cup holder, or scattered on a dresser where loose change always seems to pile up. Most people don't even bother picking them up anymore when they see one on the ground. But what if I told you that a simple 1996 US 1-cent penny, a coin that looks like nothing more than an ordinary copper-plated piece of change, could actually be worth between $42,000 and $114,000 if it has the right mint error? That's not a fantasy or an exaggeration. It's the incredible reality of coin collecting, where tiny imperfections can transform the smallest denomination in America's currency into a life-changing treasure. The 1996 penny might not strike you as anything particularly special at first glance. By then, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 9 decades, bearing the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Billions of these coins were struck in 1996, and for most Americans, they blended seamlessly into everyday life. But in those billions of strikes, a few mistakes slipped through at the U.S. Mint. These mistakes, known as error coins, are what make the 1996 penny such a fascinating topic today. When coins are minted, precision is everything. The dies must be aligned perfectly, the strikes must be strong and clean, and the blanks must be fed into the presses without a hitch. But the minting process isn't immune to flaws, and it's in those rare moments of imperfection that treasures are born. With the 1996 penny, collectors have identified errors such as double die strikes, off-center strikes, die clashes, and misaligned dies that make these coins rare and valuable. Imagine looking closely at your penny and noticing that Lincoln's profile appears doubled, or that the memorial on the reverse looks slightly off-center. These are not ordinary coins. They're rare anomalies that can command staggering prices at auction. Why does this matter so much? It comes down to rarity and demand. Billions of flawless 1996 pennies exist, but only a handful with dramatic minting errors made it past inspection and into circulation. That scarcity makes them highly desirable among collectors, who are willing to pay enormous sums to own one. At high-profile auctions, some of these error pennies have sold for prices ranging from $42,000 to $114,000. Just think about that for a moment. A coin worth 1 cent suddenly valued at the cost of a luxury sports car. That's the kind of transformation only the numismatic world can offer. Picture the excitement of finding one. You're sorting through a jar of coins, maybe one you've been tossing change into for years, when suddenly your eyes catch something odd. The coin looks slightly strange. The strike doesn't look quite right. The image appears misaligned, or perhaps there's visible doubling in the lettering. You hold it closer, your pulse quickens, and you realize you might be looking at one of the rarest 1996 penny errors ever discovered. That tiny coin, easily dismissed by almost everyone else, could be the key to tens of thousands of dollars. From pocket change to $114,000, it's the kind of moment that collectors dream about and one that anyone, anywhere, could experience. The story of the 1996 penny also reminds us that value doesn't always lie in perfection. In fact, the most valuable coins are the ones that reveal the flaws in the system. These errors are a physical reminder that even in a highly mechanized, precise process like minting coins, mistakes happen. And when those mistakes make it into the hands of the public, they create legends. Collectors cherish these error coins not only for their monetary worth but also for the unique stories they tell. A double design, an off-center strike, or a die clash is like a fingerprint from history, one that says this coin is unlike any other. Now let's talk about the auction world, where these coins truly shine. Imagine a bustling room filled with numismatists, their eyes locked on a rare 1996 penny displayed under the lights. The bidding begins cautious at first. Then it gains momentum. $10,000, $20,000, $40,000. The excitement builds as collectors push the value higher and higher, each one determined to secure this extraordinary piece for their collection. Gasps ripple through the room as the bidding surges past $80,000, then $100,000. Finally, the gavel slams at $114,000, and the winner walks away with a coin small enough to hide in the palm of their hand, yet valuable enough to change their financial future. That's the power of rarity, history, and passion converging into one electrifying moment. What makes these coins so engaging is the possibility that they're still out there. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums or rare gold pieces hidden in private collections, the 1996 penny-era coins could still be sitting in someone's change jar right now. They could be jingling in a cash register, resting in a bankroll, or waiting to be discovered at the bottom of an old drawer. That means the hunt is real, and the opportunity is still alive for anyone who takes the time to look carefully. Think about how incredible it would be to show your friends or family that a penny they would have tossed aside is actually worth more than $42,000 to $114,000. The disbelief, the excitement, the astonishment would be unforgettable. Beyond the money, you'd own a piece of American history, a tangible artifact that proves even the smallest mistakes can create something extraordinary. It's also fascinating to consider the psychology behind why collectors are willing to pay so much for these coins. It's not just about the metal value or even the rarity. It's about the chase, the exclusivity, and the pride of ownership. Owning a rare 1996-era penny means holding something that almost no one else in the world has. It's like owning a one-of-a-kind painting, a rare diamond, or a historic autograph. The bragging rights alone are priceless, and for serious collectors, that sense of prestige is worth every penny of the $114,000 price tag. But here's the truth. None of this would matter if no one bothered to look. That's the real lesson of the 1996 penny. It teaches us that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone to pay attention. Every time you pick up a penny, you hold a potential treasure in your hand. And while most of them will be worth exactly 1 cent, there's always a chance that one could be different, one could be rare, one could be the key to a fortune. So the next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't leave it lying on the ground or toss it aside without a second glance. Instead, look closely. Examine the details. Pay attention to the lines, the lettering, the images. Because hidden among those countless billions of pennies could be a 1996-era coin worth $42,000 to $114,000. And if you're lucky enough to find one, you won't just be holding a piece of change. You'll be holding a piece of history, a symbol of chance and rarity, and possibly the most valuable penny you'll ever see in your lifetime.